to this week's episode of Cattywampus, and I'm here with a really good friend. We were just talking about with Miss Frankie. We were just talking about actually how we met, and it was not because of a poor decision she made. It was because of a poor decision that the company she was working for. She had her real estate license at Windsor Realty, and I bought Windsor Realty when we were running Power Realty and brought all their agents in. So she met me by someone else's poor decision, but needless to say, I'm so glad. Yeah, it was. No, but what a good, and then we were just sitting here talking. That's like what 2000, late 5 or 6, somewhere in there maybe.
Yeah.
I had to look back, and I have a little bit of real estate trauma. Right. Around 2008, there's little trauma.
We all did. That's when it was, because I jumped out right when the market crashed.
Yeah.
So I had all these contracts on the table, and the market crashed, and by the end of the month, I had none. So it was a tough. That was a cattywampus moment.
That was cattywampus
for real.
That was.
Didn't see it coming at all.
No. And I would cuss way too much if we did that show today. So we'll hold it another one. But so really, that's how we met. And we were just talking beforehand, our backstories. We didn't know some of the overlap of our previous lives prior to that. And so kind of just catch folks up a little bit. So from 2006, 7 to, just kind of a 30,000 foot view, because you're not doing, you may still be doing some real estate, but you're not in real estate office every day. So kind of what's a day in a life with Miss Frankie these days?
Oh, gosh, really?
Yeah.
So I've been running since 8, and so I call it Grand Central Station because I'm on the phone. So we do no child outside. So if there's a child sleeping in a car or on the streets, then we get them into emergency hotels. I deal with people calling with recovery like you do, dealing with that. I do the counseling on stuff like that and trying to get people. And I have so many people in the pipeline that I'm helping. We do street ministry. I'm working on Holy Hip Hop House documentary, wrote it and the executive producer of it, and then working on a suicide book. And I help folks that are struggling with that. With traumas related to suicide or related to like rape or things like that. And then they may be struggling with depression at the time. So a day could be anything on the streets in the bluff or on a movie set or writing a book or helping somebody that's been trafficked.
The phone rings, you never know what it's going to be.
Never know.
I know that feeling well.
Yes.
So I'm really excited we got you in here right before you take sabbatical to finish up the book. I think you said you're going to be gone for just a minute here, aren't you?
Yeah, so I'm going to be gone to Outer Banks for 6 months to finish the book. I'm working with Bill Worrell over there. He was a professor at Virginia Beach at University of Virginia. So I'll be working with him finishing that up. And I also have Wolf of Wall Street's ex-wife, Dr. Nadine. She has a PhD in trauma now. And so she's working on the foreword, and she's helping me with all the trauma stuff. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
So good project. Yeah. And then head to Boston. I'm going to finish my psych degree at Harvard.
Awesome. Well, you have been moving and shaking since the Power Realty days. So it's really, really cool to have you. What's the book going to be called so we can be on the lookout for it?
Yes. It's Surviving Suicide, Losses, and Attempts. So folks are sharing their stories of losing someone to suicide or attempting suicide. And I've had both of those stories. So I'm telling mine. And then I have probably about 30 or so folks that are sharing their stories.
We'll look for that. So
it's going to be amazing.
Thanks for being here today. And like we were talking beforehand, this is a transparent, open, safe place to just share some truth. So we were talking a little bit beforehand, but what's that cattywampus moment or a series of events, something, a phase of life or something that happened that you want to talk about today?
So I had so many cattywampus because I had years of it. So I was just lost, probably from like 17 on until about 30, where I was just bad into drugs, alcohol, anything that changed my frame of mind. Ended up on the streets in New York. At one point, gang raped, abused, beaten, stabbed, all kind of things that you can think of, shot at. And then in Atlanta, I know kind of when it would almost ran its course, I ended up at the 13th floor of Grady, if anybody knows that, or then they know what that means, and you're crazy. So that's Cattywampus.
Yeah, you got to work pretty hard to get you either born a certain way to get you in there, or you have really worked really hard.
And I had to work really hard. I did all the work in the trenches. So in that though, but and I can look back at those things now. I used to look at them as shame. And now, and I always tell people, look at things, 5-letter word shame, and then you got the 5-letter of pride now. And so I used to hide those things or try to suit those up and be somebody I wasn't and hide that. The freedom came and the good life came when I shared those with pride and I helped other people get through them. Because like I was telling you, like you'd never know, looking at you back in the day, that you ever went through anything like that, or recovery, or, dealt with drugs and alcohol. And so we just don't know when we look at somebody what they're going through. So now that opens that door. It opens so many doors because so many people are like, hey, I've been there, even like you. Like we became tighter or knew each other better
after real estate. Yeah. No, so when you find yourself on the 13th floor of Grady, emotionally or physically, where were you to put in perspective? If someone sees you today and listens to you today and watches you on social media or engages with you on ministry on the street, they're not going to see that person. So like, what did it feel like laying there in that bed or being locked on that floor?
Oh my God, they had to strap me down. Like I was going to murder somebody. I was getting me out of here. This isn't me. I've got it all together. But you wouldn't even recognize me. I was 96 pounds, I think. And I was just shot out, and they diagnosed me like 7 mental disorders. Now I have 0. Because it had to do with get sober, get yourself right. And I tell people that all the time. I have a 30-day sober and then call me with your diseases, right? Yeah. Because usually you don't have them. It's usually that meth or that drink or the, below, whatever it is you're doing, right? And if you're doing a combination, you're going to get a combination of personalities and everything.
And you'll find yourself on the 13th
Yes. Floor. So I had definite multiple personalities, who I was going to be when I woke up. And you were just trying to kind of get that feel every day. You're chasing that high, and in the art and the entertainment and all that industry, it's just filled with that, and the sex and all those things. It's all trying to just get that instant gratification and feel good for that moment. So in that bed, it kind of was crashing down because it was a reality check that I was there with the crazy people, and I wasn't crazy, but I was at that moment. So now I can laugh about it. But then
I relate because I remember when I got checked into rehab, and I was like, man, there's a lot of flipping crazy people here. There's some crazy folks here, but I wasn't one of them, right?
No, I got it together.
I got it all together. So that's pretty interesting. What would you say, from laying in the bed on the 13th floor of Grady at the end of years of just destructive behavior, what did you learn, or what did you put in play for yourself to navigate through that? Or what did you learn to go from there to where you are now?
Well, and it didn't happen then because I kept dabbling with it. And then I met my fiance, love of my life, had my daughter. She was 3 months old, and he killed himself because we were still playing with that fire, right? And thinking we wouldn't get burned, but we did, and I did. And so then he died, and that was a shake to my whole world because he was the love of my life. I'd never, ever loved somebody like that. And then, and he shot himself in the front of Walmart, killed himself. And so then you've got to deal with, everybody knew about it. It was on the news, all that stuff. I had a 3-month-old daughter at the time. And somebody told me about Christ. 2 ladies did. And I thought that I had went so far down the rung, and done all these, sexual things that were so bad, and drugs, alcohol, anything you can think of, really, and got away with a lot of stuff too. But But I thought that I wasn't lovable by him. So that didn't occur to me that he could actually love me or care for me. But they told me he could. And I believed him for the first time. I got baptized within like 3 months. And listen, my life was on fire after that. And then I got the call to go back to the streets. And I argued because I was driving the new BMW. You know what I'm saying? I'd worked so hard. And I was doing stuff with you in real estate a little bit after that at PGI when I was doing the software sales and stuff. So but anyway, doing really well, bought the house on the golf course, the new BMW, all that, and God's calling me back to the streets. And I was like, what? No.
Why do you want to reverse?
Let me just donate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so finding Christ changed it all. It changed everything.
What the ladies that shared with you, did you know that how did you encounter them?
Well, one was Chad's stepmother. And they hated each other and like hated everything we were about because, you know, we tried so hard to get it together and we would have days where we did, but not a lot. And he definitely didn't have a lot. He struggled a lot with addiction and it just got the best of him at the end. He wrote a 5-page letter that, you know, he loved us so much he had to leave us because he couldn't fight that because his fleshly body just could never stop using. And he didn't want to hurt us through it. So anyway, so his stepmother and then one of the ladies from the church, Stacy Ridings, actually, and they spent a lot of time with me and coached me through it. And I mean, life was just different.
So what did you learn about unconditional love? And that like because if I to kind of re-say what you said and make sure I heard what you said, it's just all the things that you had done and just you didn't feel worth loving. Like if you look in the mirror, you don't love yourself, then how is a Heavenly Father going to love you? Type kind of deal.
Yeah.
And what did you learn that changed that?
I mean, you know, like in the verse, you know, neither hand nor foot nor no other part of anybody can keep the love of Jesus from us. And just knowing that and feeling when the waters of baptism, when I came up and reading the word and building up, you know, it was kind of like I was building something from the ground up because I started at nothing because I was broken. I mean, people were literally like, her computer is not computing and she's not going to come back from this. The cops found me sitting over at West Bank with my car. You know, I was going to drop into the water. Like I was done. If Chad wasn't going to be here, I wanted to go be with him so bad. You know, they had to hold me from going in the grave with him and stuff. But I had my son and I had my daughter. And so I couldn't do that to them. Right. So I just clung to that with everything I had and clung to AA and NA with everything I had. A girl that didn't even know me that worked with me saw what I was going through and offered to take me to a meeting. And I went and I remember I was sitting there shaking like NDTs. I was crying like my heart was broken. My head was broken. Everything was broken. Total cattywampus, like nothing working. Yeah. And man, some best friend today. We're like the closest you'd ever be. And like, I just tell her every day she saved my life. And those two ladies did, and they didn't have to.
Yeah. But we don't know just a little bit of intention, just a little bit of time that we spend with someone, the impact that it can have and all the impact that it rolls out and the ripples. Like they throw and create a little ripple with you at the time, but then think of all the impact and all the ripples that because of their time, what you've been able to do for others. It's pretty amazing. It makes me really feel at times like, man, how many opportunities like that have I squandered? Like, you know,
that's a good one.
You know, it's like that's the kind of shit you really don't want to think about. It's like, okay, Jesus, like I did this, but like I was tired that day, or I was a little selfish that day, or I was like, you know, but should I give them just another 5 seconds? Like what was the word? Or just actually pick up the phone and call somebody today?
Yeah. Or go sit with them. Yeah. Because they sat with me so long, and I just remember I was so shut out, you know, like who would even spend time with this person? Yeah. But now when Elizabeth sends me a message and stuff, I tell her, because, you know, we have a team in Africa now. We have a national ministry. Like we touch thousands of lives every year on so many different, you know, planes and through so many different avenues, and from south side of Chicago, Skid Row in California, Brooklyn, New York, the Bluff in Atlanta, like all over. And so, I credit her, I credit them with it, because if they wouldn't have, then I wouldn't be doing anything.
I've got a guy that directed me, name's Richard. He directed me in my very first AA meeting when I got out. He's actually in Rotary with me now, and has been for years, but it was 20 plus years in recovery before I ever put two and two together, because he told me. We went to lunch and he thought it was just a meeting. He didn't realize it was the very first meeting that I ever went to, right? And so now every chance I have a vision where someone that's in recovery that I've had any time or any kind of contact or relationship with, I make sure that they introduce themselves to him. Say, hey, at 10 seconds of your time, just wanted to thank you, because at 10 seconds of your time that you gave Kurt, he's given me that back too. Yeah. So it's pretty awesome to see the ripple effects of that. So what are some daily disciplines that you have to stay safe? And we call them the double D's. That's the little chuckle that I get over there. Yeah. And so, but it's like, So it was a little awkward with my daughter when I asked her what her double D's were, but what are, if you got 2 or 3 things that you do routinely daily to keep you balanced?
Everybody's like, she's not balanced. No, I'm not, because here, my main thing is that I wake up and my selfish self wants to go and do this or wants to go and do that. And I want to go have some fun, or I want to do something for Frankie once in a while, blah, 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 right? We want to do that. But I have to turn my life over to Jesus every day. And so I have to answer that phone. I have to go where I'm called. I have to, do the things that he has set forth with my feet. I have to go to the Outer Banks, because that is not easy. And it's a lot of moving parts and stuff to get me away from, and going to isolate for 6 months. Like me doing that? Yeah, right. Thanks, God. But you have to follow it. Yeah. You have to, so I just surrender every day. And that's so hard. And it's so against everything that I'm made up of, because I want to be selfish and want to do what Frankie wants to do, and want to please myself. But I don't, by the time I'm laying down, I didn't get to do a lot of that, usually most days, but I'm more fulfilled for it.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
So when you look back now of your journey, would you have ever thought life was going to be as enjoyable and as epic as it is today if you would have looked back?
Oh, no, I didn't think I was ever going to live past 30 or 25. And I definitely thought I'd be in jail, or I would be deformed or, hurt or injured, or did not ever think that I'd have all my faculties and be sitting with someone like you and doing podcasts and people wanting to talk to me or listen and hear what I have to say or read something I write. No, never, never.
How would you describe life today?
I mean, it's amazing. I wake up and I'm joyful, and sometimes it is overwhelming, because that when you've got the burden of being a leader and things like that, it's not all fun. But being able to do that, being able to help people, and having people call you sometimes, or having that girl that was trafficked that's now got her family back together and got her kids back and a car and a house, and they're sending you pictures. So that's what it's all about for me. And so just the joy every day, and just getting to be there and being used by God, because come on, that's the biggest thing in the whole entire face of the world. So for me to be used by him, that just blows me away, that he still finds a way to use me. Yeah.
So for the person that's laying in a hospital bed at the end of years of drug use, gang rapes, you name it, it's happened to that person, right? That's where you were. It's not who you are, but that's where you were. If you look right into that camera and speak directly to that lady or to that girl or to that, God forbid, child, from complete hopelessness to living a life like you're living now, what would you tell them?
So I would just first tell you that there's somebody that loves you more than you could ever imagine, and that you're in pain right now. And I've been there. You want to give up. You want to quit. You don't see a reason to live, but there is. And God has a plan for you. Every one of us were put here with a plan and with a reason for our life. And the devil has tricked you into falling and to ending up where you are right now. But he's got a plan, and that plan is going to blow your mind. You just have to say yes. And you have to let go of what you want and let go of what people think about you and let go of the past and step into the light, into the future, because it's there. And I love you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say after that. It's heartfelt. So I'm prayerful that a lady will hear that and see it and pick up the phone and call you or connect with you, because we're going to give them some way in the what do you call it in there? Where are we going to put it? It's not this. It's not
description.
In the description. That's a big word.
Hey, we're learning today, baby.
Oh my gosh! Look, description. Yeah. Okay, so it's going to be in the description. Anyways, see. Listen, JJ, I'm not playing the dumb redneck card. I am the dumb redneck right there, right? I can't even say description, but so Frankie, we're going to put your contact information in the description, but I know they can follow you online, Instagram, Facebook, and I love watching you out there to see what's going on. And we've actually got a street ministry vehicle that we're building out, and I can't say 1999 Kodiak. Old people mover. So we're doing it off-road, kind of off the grid vehicle. So entertainment on one side, food service on the other.
Cool.
And I'd love our inaugural street ministry to be able to come down and serve y'all's ministry here. So hopefully
let's hit up the bluff together.
Yeah, it would be really awesome to get out and do it. So we're going to give them the contact information for you. I'm super grateful that you're here. Good luck on your book. And let us know what we can do ever to help you out. And so thank you for just being willing to be raw and transparent.
All the time. That's what we got to be.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So thank you. Thanks for watching today. Check back next week for another great episode. And remember, like it, share it, comment it, follow us. Am I leaving anything else out?
Subscribe.
There's a little thing up there. You can hit the bell. You can get notifications. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Check us out next week. Have a great day.